What's up? It's T with Taylor, but this time the T is just was being spoken, okay? Yeah, honestly, because I'm about to go to bed. As you can see, once again, we're having tea at bedtime. Um, I just wanted to talk about how femininity isn't something you perform, it's what naturally emerges when you feel safe enough to be truly and fully yourself. So, I've had several people ask me lately, how do you stay in your feminine energy? How do you tap into your femininity? How do you become more creative? Um, how do you stay in your feminine energy with a man who doesn't lead, right? So these questions have been coming up. People have been asking me these questions, and I kind of just want to talk about it, right? Um, I wanted to talk about how it made me realize all of those questions are really asking the same thing, okay? Um, which is, how do I stay connected to myself? Femininity isn't a personality, and I think we really turned femininity into an aesthetic. Wear the dress, light the candle, drink the tea, speak softly, dress like this, look like this, put the makeup on, hold your body like this. And none of those things make you feminine. None of them. Um, because you can do every single one of those things and still abandon yourself, still not be true to yourself, still not really fully be and embody the being that you are, because you ain't being. So, creativity and femininity come from the same place. Creativity is not something that you force. I believe that creativity is something that flows when your nervous system has enough space. When you're constantly surviving and rushing and proving, your creativity gets quieter, calms down, gets harder to hear, harder to see, harder to feel. So, if you feel like that's you, some things I would ask myself are, when was the last time you sat in silence without reaching for your phone? When was the last time you followed your curiosity instead of your productivity? I know I was telling one person that creativity isn't something that comes from your doing, it is something that comes from your being. Like, you can set time aside and plan out creative blocks, but creativity, I feel like, is something that comes from your being. It is when you allow yourself to be still enough to hear that little niggle or feel that little niggle inside of you, that little spark of curiosity, that little spark of excitement, and you follow it. Um, and you can't do that when you're so busy rushing and doing and thinking. You get that in the stillness, you get that in the quiet, right? So, yeah. Next is the relationship question, because I've also been asked, how do you stay feminine with a man who isn't masculine, right? I think this deserves an honest conversation. I think this deserves an honest conversation because I feel you, I see you, I do. Um, and I don't think femininity means never taking initiative or never making decisions or never being strong, because life requires flexibility and that's just that. But Sometimes, yeah, you know, sometimes one partner carries more because the other partner is sick or grieving or going through something difficult, and that's normal. That's different from a long-term dynamic where one person carries responsibilities they'd rather not. If you constantly feel like you have to manage, remind, organize, emotionally regulate, and lead everything, it's understandable if you start feeling less relaxed or playful. And many people describe that as feeling less feminine. But I don't think the goal is to force yourself back into femininity. The goal is to ask, why do I feel like I can't put this weight down? Why do I feel like I can't relax? Why do I feel like I can't enjoy myself? I can't be playful. I can't bring this energy to the forefront that I know I need. And sometimes that's about the relationship. Sometimes that's about fear. Sometimes it's about the patterns that you've learned. And sometimes it's all of that and then some. What I would say is stop outsourcing yourself. I don't want my femininity to depend on another person's behavior. If I'm only soft when someone else is perfect, then my peace is always in someone else's hands. Do you hear where I'm coming from? Do you hear what I'm saying, sister girl? Watch my last video about taking your power back and what that means, because this is it. This isn't about another person. This is about you coming home. I said that in my last video when we were having tea the other day. So I think feminine energy, masculine energy, creativity, joy, they're all expressions. They all grow naturally when you're rooted in self. When you're rooted in self. So instead of asking, how do I become more feminine? Maybe you should ask, what parts of myself have I stopped listening to? So I have a list of questions right here. I have a list of questions that I'm going to leave you guys with to think about, to ponder on, to reflect, and to ruminate. Question 1. What makes me feel most alive? Question 2. Where do I perform instead of express? Question 3. What activities make me lose track of time? Question 4. When do I feel most safest? When do I feel the most safe? Excuse my English. To be myself. And last question is, am I trying to become more feminine, or am I trying to feel free? So I'm gonna leave y'all with those questions. And I don't think femininity comes from feeling inspired. I feel like it comes from creating anyways. And I'll leave you with that. Good night.